Right now, we'd like to bring back a wonderful lady who's been on our show several times this year, and she really breaks everything up. And I know you're going to be happy to see her again. So let's have a big hand for her. Mom's Mabley.
Oh, it's nice being here. Oh, yeah.
As you see that I'm smoking, I want you folks to know the Good Housekeeping Bureau has just released some vital statistics, very important to all smokers. Do you know that out of 446 doctors that switched to Camels, only 2 of them went back to
Jmoney.
Bless you pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know, in jail, to tell you the truth, boy, it's nice to be anywhere. I've been swinging since I lived here.
We're going to give away prizes this morning. I'd like everybody that's here at 4 o'clock to take your stub out. No, sir, they're white stubs.
Jmoney.
I'm only going to call the winning number 1, so take your stub out and look at it.
OGJ Comedy Man.
Be sure to keep your eye on your own stub because this is a long figure. The winning number for the 4 prizes this morning is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 13, dash 22, 0, 0, alt, nothing. 1, 1, 2, 1, U1. B, 4, I, 4, Q, RU, 18, 21, or 22. 4, 3, 66, 67, 68, 41. And you, the last figure is you, 8, 1, 2. 1,900 pounds of pure down-home gravy and 4 soppers. You have it? Bend over, I'll drive you to the prizes.
Listen to Mom. A man was out riding on the freeway, and he met a hitchhikers on the side of the road. One of the boys, you know, hitchhiking. So he picked him up. So they was driving along down the road. Where you going, son? He says, I don't know, man. Anywhere you go is all right with me. So the man was parked talking to him. He passed the road he's supposed to turn on. Listen to Mom. So the man backed out just as he hit the brick. Something hit him, knocked him through the windshield, cut his face and everything, broke his arm. He said, man, I thought you said you didn't see nothing coming but a dog. Listen to Mom. He said, yeah, man, but it was a Greyhound.
I appeared here this morning through the courtesy of Flush-O. FLUSH-O. It's a new cough syrup. And Flush-O acts as nature's own herbs would act as a laxative. Won't do nothing for a cold, but you better not cough. Sneeze either.
OGJ Comedy Man.
Listen to Mom. Woman was sick. She got bad off. She was dying. Sent for her husband. Wanted to make a confession before she died. Her husband came up there crying. She said, honey, I'm dying. He said, yes, I know. She said, but I got a confession to make before I die. Said, I haven't been true to you. I've been running around with other men. He said, yes, I know. That's reading that poison.
I know because I rode her big ass all the time. Biggest ass I ever been on. You can see the muscles in her big ass. Sometime I'd ride her ass so long her ass was sweating, I'd slip right off her big sweaty ass. No, that's because I didn't have no salad, you see. Well, just like I told you, she had a husband. He didn't have such a bad ass himself. He was a preacher. I rode his little narrow ass once. Boniest ass ever been on. You can't ride no bony ass. You got to have some meat on your ass. You get ready to ride. Yes, sir. Get you a big fat ass and how you ass outside. See, the congregation came to church on their ass. The preacher came to church on his ass. And I hadn't been in town long. I was on my ass. The preacher put his ass outside the window, came inside and started preaching. One of the sisters in the back row reading the gospel. And something caught a fire in the back pew, and she jumped up and hollered, "Help! Somebody save us!" Everybody ran outside, snatched their ass, and rolled off. But the old reverend, he didn't leave. He stayed there and counted the collection. Got caught out inside. He figured his ass might get scorched outside. So he took a long running jump and jumped out the window to land on his ass. But somebody had stole old reverend's ass and wasn't there. And the reverend fell down in the deep hole in the ground. That's where they found him, in this hole in the ground. Just go to show you, don't it? Some folks don't know the ass from a hole in the ground.
Listen, Mom. That colored boy was ready for his school. Only one in school. So they come up that evening for the spelling class and everything. Little Johnny sitting there with his little white shirt on, his little tie, looking all nice. So the teacher, the white teacher, so she looked over at one little boy and says, Jimmy, spell cat. Little Jimmy jumped up. The white boy says, C-A-T, cat. Says, that's right, that's nice, Jimmy. Looked at that little white boy and says, Tommy, spell rat. He said, R-A-T, rat. Said, that's good. He said, how? He said, Johnny, spell chrysanthemum. Johnny said, what color? White or pink? He said, pink. He said, P-I-N-K, pink.
Preachers in my hometown used to ride bicycles to church every Sunday in opposite direction. They stopped and chat a while before they go to church. And one Sunday, one of the preachers was riding, the other one was walking. And they stopped to talk. They said, Rev, what happened to your bicycle? The Reverend said, well, somebody in my congregation stole my bicycle. I don't know what to do with it. The Reverend said, well, look, if you want your bicycle and go to church this Sunday, all you do is say the 10 Commandments. When you get the commandment which says, thou shalt not steal, ever who stole your bicycle will feel guilty and bring it back to you. And sure enough, the next Sunday, both the preachers were riding their bicycles and they stopped to talk and said, Rev, I see you got your bike back. Did you do like I told you? The other Reverend said, yeah, I did just like you told me. When I got the commandment where it says, thou shalt not commit adultery, I remember where I left my bicycle.
Bless you pretty hard.
This was a Southern preacher, and he was addressing some of his congregation. He said, listen, brothers and sisters, I'm going to be frank about the whole affair. Said, all of us, we here got to get together. We need a whole lot of money to build a new church. He said, we got to work harder, got to get more money, and work harder and get more money. He said, matter of fact, we got to work like beavers. And one of the sisters said, but Rev, you know, beavers work with their tail.
Bless you pretty hard.
The Reverend said, well, all right then. Read that. It was Reverend down south. He was getting on the way with his sermon. He walked up, looked over the congregation. He said, you know, brothers and sisters, and here in my congregation, there's a lot of brothers in the house this morning been messing around with the sisters. He said, and if every brother who's been messing around with the sisters don't put $5 in the collection, I'm going to call his name out. Took up the collection. After a little singing and everything, they started counting, and they found out the money was 75 $5 bills and 2 singles with a little note pinned on it saying, we'll bring the other 3 next time.
Listen to Mom. Woman's husband died and she bought him a nice casket, put on there, rest in peace. So that night they had to wait. I don't know whether you all have wakes or not. What we do, that's where you go and talk about everybody and eat up all the food. So David did the wait. This one was sitting over in the corner crying. My foot was gone. So another old mouthy woman went over to her. Somebody always want to start something. She walked over to her. She said, Mary, what you crying like that for? She said, my poor husband, I loved him so much. So by you, I wouldn't be crying like that. He went with other women besides you. She said, for her. He said, for her. She said, yes, he did. I know what I'm talking about, honey. I know. So she called Undertaker. She says, Undertaker, said, can I have that rest in peace take off of that casket? He said, no, it's too late now. She said, well, can I add to it? She said, yeah, you add to it. She wrote on that, rest in peace until we meet again. Until we meet again. Listen to Mom.
Yeah.
I was reading, I poisoned you.
I don't remember my dad too well myself, but you know, I guess it's a reason though, because he hadn't been home since my mom caught Santa Claus kissing the lady next door. He's coming back from Seattle from location, and this guy climbed up an upper berth, and nobody knew he had a toupee on, but when he climbed up, his toupee slid off and fell in the berth below. So he just stuck his hand in between the curtains. He didn't want to wake the people up, so he started feeling around for his toupee, and pretty soon a voice said, "That's it, that's it." And he said, "Oh, no, it ain't. Mine's parted on the side."
You've got any other clothes?
Oh, yeah. I got other clothes, but Mom likes to look her best when I'm on television. I owe that much to my public. Bless you pretty hard. Listen to Mom.
Yeah.
Then another time, a colored fella and a white fella held up a bank down there. So they shot the bank teller, 2-3 clerks, wounded a couple of women. So they sentenced them to be hung. So about a week before they was to be hung, this colored fellow was walking around in the cell whistling, singing St. Louis blues, and popping his fingers as happy as he could be. This white fellow sitting over in the corner crying. He said, "I don't want to die. I don't want to be hung. I don't want to die. Please don't let them hang me." The fellow said, "Oh, shut up, man. We done held up the bank, done killed up all them people, and you come talking about you don't want to die? Say, take it like a man, like I do." He said, "That's easy for you to say, because you used to it."
Now, another couple of fellas was talking. One of them told the other, said, "Look, if you want to get a woman that will be true and honest to you, all you have to do is marry a woman with brown eyes." This guy said, "I've been married 2 years. I don't even know what color my wife's eyes are." So he went home and he tiptoed up the steps and sneaked in the bedroom, took his fingers and opened her eyeball up. He looked in there and said, "My God, brown!" And some guy crawled out from under the bed and said, "How you know I was here?" Last weekend, my old lady told me she didn't even come home the night I left. She sent a postcard up to Frisco telling me, "Fox, I'm sorry I didn't come home, but I stayed all night with Mabel because it looked like snow." I know she lied because I was with Mabel and it looked like rain. Then there was 3 women in the psychiatrist's office getting a little light checkup. The psychiatrist looked at the first woman. She was there with her kid. He said, "Madam, because your thoughts are always of food, that's why you've named your kid Candy." The lady said, "Oh, that's wonderful. I'm glad to know this, doctor." He looked at the second woman and said, "Now, madam, you're obsessed with the thought of money. Money takes over control of you. That's why you name your kid Penny." This other lady grabbed her son by the arm and said, "That's ridiculous. Let's get out of here, Peter."
Bless you pretty hard.
My neighbor's son is studying to be a chemist, and he was out in the backyard. He discovered some stuff that you could put, you could put 1 drop on a worm, and the worm would get stiff and hard just like a nail. And he was out in the backyard. Driving these worms back down the ground. His dad came out. He said, "Son, what you got there?" He said, "Dad, I discovered some stuff. You can put 1 drop on a worm, and the worm gets stiff and hard just like a nail." His dad said, "Look, if you let me have some of that, if it does what I think it will, I'll get you a new Thunderbird." And the next day, the kid woke up and he looked out the window, and out in front of the house was a brand new Coupe de Ville. He went to his dad. He said, "Dad, you said you'll get me a Thunderbird." He said, "I did get you a Thunderbird. It's in the garage. The Coupe de Ville is from your mother." The Coupe de Ville is from your mother. And so do I. Don't talk about my uncle because he's a great artist. He came here to paint the stars. You see, he's a wonderful artist, and he asked one of the big stars, could he paint her in the nude? And she told him, "No, you're going to have to put your robe on." There was 2 old guys at the bar last night. I was out having a little taste with some friends. There was 2 old guys sitting at the bar, and one of them looked at the other and said, "Look, do you think there's much sex and romance going on as it was when we was younger?" He said, "Yeah, but it's a new bunch doing it." That was up to the chick's house. This girl told this fella, she said, you know, my husband will be home in about 45 minutes. He said, that's all right, I haven't done anything wrong. She said, I know, but if you intend to, you better hurry. Television can really make a difference in the comforts of home. I was watching television last night, a couple nights ago, wasn't last night. I watch almost every night, but I like these quiz shows. I forget the name of this quiz show, but they give away so much money, you'd be ashamed to take it. One master ceremonies asked the lady who was on the first show, and madam, who was the first man on earth? She said, Adam. MC, lady, you're right for $50. The MC said, now madam, who was the first woman on earth? She said, Eve. MC said, right, give that lady $100. MC said, now lady, for the jackpot question, what were Eve's first words when she met Adam? The lady looked to the MC and out of pondered, she said, now, that's a hard one, isn't it? MC, that's right, give this lady the jackpot.
Because we like you so much, Monty, we're thinking about making you a regular.
Regular what?
Well, I mean, a regular. It means you would work exclusively for us. Now, how would you like that?
Oh, I'd like it fine. It's all right for me, but you got to clear it with Miss Marcus.
Clear it with who is Miss Marcus?
That's the lady I go to on Thursday. Tell you the truth, boy, it's nice to be anywhere at my age.
You know that old saying that you're only as old as you feel, right?
Yes. That's what you can say. Because you ain't got a wrinkle on your body. But honey, listen to Mom.
Yeah.
When you ain't as old as you feel as old as you is.
I came home last night, I was so juiced, I was really juiced. My wife said, I was in your condition, I'd shoot myself. And I said, if you was in my condition, you'd miss. And I always have trouble with my wife too, you know, because I just got this little house. I'm always having trouble with my wife or the furnace. When I watch one, the other one goes out. But I'm glad though that I don't drink anything stronger than Papa. And my Papa drink anything. A buddy of mine told his girl, he said, baby, let's get married in June. See, because she wanted to get married this month. He said, no, let's get married in June. It won't be long until June. She said, yeah, but how much longer will it be then? And I know you folks heard about the thrifty tomcat that put a little in the kitty every night. There's a fellow took his wife on a little picnic, you know, on his farm, and they had some mules, some horses, some cows, and they had one mule that was real bad because he hadn't been really around people too much, and whenever he got around anyone, he just got excited and started kicking. So this fella was opening up a lunch basket, and this old stubborn mule broke loose and started charging the husband, and the wife saw the mule coming toward her husband. She tried to save him. She said, look out, baby, here comes a mule or something. And this fella turned around, and the mule had knocked him down and was standing on top of him. The old lady ran over to the mule and took a umbrella and beat this mule across the head, and the mule retreated. And the farmer saw what happened, and so he called the newspapers in this small town in somewhere in Arkansas. And he called the newspaper man. The newspaper man took about 3 days. He got out there and got the information about the thing, and they mailed her a copy after they got back on their vacation. They mailed him a copy of the newspaper, and it was headlines because this was the biggest thing that ever happened in that town. And it says, woman beats ass off husband with umbrella. Anyway, some folks, you know, a lot of people are stingy too. You know, you probably ran into some, yeah, they call them kinches where I'm from. Yeah, people, you know, real close. Well, my brother's like that. You know what my brother did with his first 50-cent piece? Married her. The sailor met a girl, you know, like they have those 10-cent taxi dance places all around the country. When Salem met a pretty girl in one of those places, 10-cent dance. It was in New York. He danced the whole night. It was a beautiful girl. During the last dance, they snuggled real close, cheek to cheek. She snuggled real close to him. He said, ain't you gonna take me home, Daddy? He said, is there anything in it? She said, oh, just a little dust from dancing. Down in Mexico, was an old widow lady, and she had two beautiful daughters. And they were in the yard making tacos and menudos and all that kind of stuff, you know, that mashed up and bean. All of a sudden, a bunch of riders came up. The old lady and the daughter saw that there was Pancho Villa and his army of bandits. One of the officers said, this hacienda is under our possession, and you're in our power. One of the beautiful girls said, yes, that's right, and we know we'll have to submit to you, but please spare our dear mother. The mother said, you girls mind your own business. I'd like to do a little tune though for you now. It's a real true-to-life scene. Took place during the war times. A fella made a lot of money, large amount of money. Went down to Mexico and bought him a great big place. Great big huge Hasse, what you call it? You know those huge with the they have the, it was a big one. And he was down there in Mexico and he was living a life laying up all among the cactus and that stuff. What is that stuff? I forget the name of it. But he was there in Mexico and he was losing money at the racetrack, all his savings. Had to finally get a job working on a railroad. Had to leave home every 3 days. Had to leave his wife there at the house by herself. Things got so rough on the railroad, he had to take in a roomer. Mexican fellow he was. I think his name was Gonzalez Pedro. You heard of him. Yeah, Pedro moved in his house. He left one day for a 3-day trip. He never had an idea that this fella he took in his house as a boarder would he didn't know his wife and he knew that the hall where they would, and finally that dirty dog, that bum, that son of a gun. It was that boarder, that louse of a boarder. Who else could it be? When I was out to work, I think that jerk stood in for me. I didn't get angry, but it drove me so wild, 'cause he was the father of my wife's second child. I said to that boarder, you're ruining my life. 'Cause when I made that price with you, that didn't include my wife. What have you done with my baby? While I was away, were you south of her border in your Mexican way? When the baby's first words were, then I could plainly see that the kid was a real Mexicana, and there's no Mexican blood in me. So I stabbed that border from Mexico way. I stabbed him right between his Rio Grande and his Santa Fe. I cut off his Bolero. Now no more this border in any kind of way. Aye, 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 aye. Aye, 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 aye. This old lady from live over in there, Hooper, right behind the gas station. And she went downtown the other day to get some men's shorts. And she walked up to the counter and the salesman asked her if she wanted the kind that button down or the other kind. She said it really don't make no difference as far as cost. And it was a fella in Baltimore. You know, I went through Baltimore. I worked at the comedy club about an hour and a half. And this fellow was in court. He was trying to defend himself on a rape charge. And he said, "Look here, Judge, Your Honor." He said, "I just want to explain for myself because I don't have the money to get no. I don't want this to go through. I just do." He said, I wasn't even within a mile of the house that woman said she was raped. And besides, I didn't rape her. It was a sort of a mutual understanding. And anyway, Judge, that ain't the woman. Oh, you know, a lot of you folks might have kids yourself at night and you have to get contact with a babysitter. Very necessary if you want to go somewhere. And this lady had a babysitter. She came home from work and the little boy was on the couch sleeping in the living room. The lady that lived next door, she had been watching television, fell asleep. She had been kind enough to sit there for $10 for one night. And the kid's mother came home. They both woke up and the neighbor said, "Well, I guess I'll go home." The mother looked at the little boy and said, "Now, Josh, kiss the nice lady. Kiss the nice lady night-night." The little boy said, "What, and get my face slapped like Pop did?" And the guy was arguing with his old lady one time about being unfaithful. He said to her, "Look, I've been hearing that you've been going with almost every man in town." She said, "Well, hell, there ain't nothing to argue about." She said, "You don't think I learned how to love like I do from correspondence school?" And one of the big movie stars out of Hollywood was telling her maid that she thought her millionaire husband was fooling around with one of the chorus girls in Las Vegas. And the maid told the woman, she said, I think you're just saying that to make me jealous. A botany teacher was having a class one morning. The subject was sugar cane. She began to describe it. She said to all the kids, she said, the outside is covered with a hard, fiber-like substance, and the inside is filled with pith. Pith, you know, that's the ingredients on the inside of sugar cane. She said to a little boy sitting in the back of the room, she said, "You've heard of pith, haven't you, Johnny?" "You've heard of pith?" Johnny said, "Yes, ma'am." The guy's wife was suspicious and thought he was messing around on her. And one night they were laying in bed just relaxing. The phone rang. The husband reached for the phone in a great big hurry, and this is how it sounded. He said, "Steve? You are Steve?" "Yes, I would, Steve." "No, Steve." "All right, Steve." "Of course, Steve." "Yeah, Steve." "You know that, Steve." "Sorry, Steve." "Crazy, Steve." "Okay, Steve." "Well, so long, Steve." Then the husband hung up the phone, turned to his wife and said, "Baby, that was Steve." There's a guy in Arizona, all over, you know, you find people nowadays, you know, with the progress that's going on, people are trying to improve, and a lot of people buying property and all all that kind of stuff, and they invest in money. And there was one guy in Arizona, he was losing his shirt in a guest house, you know what I mean? He had a nice guest house. Nice little place, they call it the Westwood Hole Guest House. But then it was so bad, he decided to invest some money in a bus, you know, so he could bring people down from the train station out to the guest house. And pretty soon he was really having the best business in the whole territory. People coming from everywhere, getting in the bus. Bus driver, he was a nice guy, and only had just hired him for a little while. He'd only been on the job 2 days. In fact, it was his idea to get the bus. But the owner couldn't figure out how the business was so good. When he asked the bus driver what he was doing when he was going down to the station, the bus driver said, well, all I do is go down there and wait for the train. And when the train come in, all I do is walk up in front of the bus and said, free bus to the Westwood Hole House. But this is a story I was going to tell you about, you know. This lady went downtown, and she was shopping, and she happened to pass by one of those nice little shoe shine parlors, and she climbed aboard a shoe shine stand and sat there on the stand, and shoe shine boy bent over to pick up his polish, and he happened to look straight ahead. And he couldn't hold it any longer. He had to say what he felt. He said, Miss, I could eat that full ice cream. And she smacked his face so hard, and she went home and told her husband about this shoe shine boy. Said, honey, I'm going to tell you the truth. I went downtown, and I climbed up on the shoe shine stand, and the shoe shine boy leaned down to pick up his polish and looked up and said, I could eat that full ice cream. She said, now I want you to go down there and whip it. The husband said, look, there's 3 reasons why I'm not going down. In the first place, you had no business downtown. In the second place, the shoe shine boy might knock me out. And in the third place, ain't nobody can eat that much ice cream. This incident, this took place during the Korean War. You know how they used to get letters, families used to get letters from their kids overseas and stuff. One kid wrote his dad a long letter almost every 2 months. He wrote his dad a letter. Wrote. He received a letter. He wrote his first letter to his dad. He said, Dear Dad, I can't tell you where I am, but yesterday I shot a polar bear. And about a couple of months later, he wrote another letter to his dad. He said, Dear Dad, I can't tell you where I am, but yesterday I danced with a hula girl. And about 3 months later, another letter came. Said, Dear Dad, I can't tell you where I am, but the doctor tells me I should have danced with the polar bear and shot the hula girl. And I'm smoking, I want you.
Bless you pretty hard.
Oh, yes, a lot of you folks don't realize the pull that you have by just being a citizen and being able to vote. You can ask for things. This is where you have congressmen and legislature and representatives to speak to those people and get what you need. That's the way it is. I wrote to my congressman last week, and I proposed that we do something about the stray cats. Something has to be done about the stray cats. Now, me personally, as an individual, I think Congress should pass a law to establish a home for stray cats. And in every state in the union, have a stray cat home. And have a motto to go along with it. Could be, let's have a cat house in every state. But there was, this happened in England not too long ago. One of the great officers of World War II for the British Army was laying on his cot in the Army hospital about to split. I mean, he was having his last few hours on earth. He wanted to kiss the Queen and the Prince goodbye, but they were out of town visiting somewhere. So begged. He said, I want to kiss the Queen and the Prince goodbye. I love England. I love it. What can I do? The doctor said, well, one of our nurses has the Queen tattooed on one of her thighs and the Prince tattooed on another thigh. He said, we'd let you, he said, I don't mind, just let me see their face. The nurse walked over and lifted her uniform slightly. So you can see the Queen and the Prince, one on each thigh. He kissed the Prince, then he kissed the Queen, and looked up and said, what are you doing? Yeah, what are you doing here, Castro?
Oh, yeah.
And I'm smoking, I want you folks to know. And I'm smoking, I want you folks to know. And I'm smoking, I want you folks to know.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't talk about everybody eat up all the food. You something I've been swinging since I lived here. Oh, it's nice being here, honey.
And so do I.
OGJ Comedy Mag. OGJ Comedy Mag. Volume 3. Jmoney. Jmoney Comedy Mag. Volume 3. OGG Production.
Oh, yeah.